You actually picked Denver to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
We need to know why.
Why not Denver? You know, it's Peyton has been doing it all year. He surprised a couple people early, but, you know, even I was rushing home to see what monstrous stats that Peyton Manning was going to put up. And, you know, with me being a fan of the game, people don't realize that we're people too. You know, we may not have no fantasy team or anything like that, but we're concerned of what's happening on in the league outside of, you know, the coaching clips that we get with preparation each and every week. But the things that Peyton Manning did this week, this year, it was ridiculous. I mean, not taking anything against the Legion of Doom or anything with me facing them firsthand with the first week, but though Peyton Manning is top-notch guy.
Now I want to get to you because obviously, you know, you all were 12-4 this year.
Right.
I mean, you got to the playoffs. You had a breakout year, and what I was most proud about, and I know Kerry was going to touch on this with you, but what I was most proud about is that I came into the year saying you had to do it this year because we kept hearing about Luck, we kept hearing about Kaepernick and RG3, and then Russell Wilson, and Cam wasn't on the radar really. He sort of seemed to be fading. So it was great to see you do what you did this year. What was your attitude like coming into this season, knowing all the hype everybody else was getting and yours was dissipating a little bit?
Extremely hungry. I'd be lying to you to sit up here and say that I wasn't affected by what was said, what was done. And believe you me, you know, I oftentimes get criticized about my attitude. You know, I was taking it hard as anyone. You know, with the 6-10, then following it with 7-9. No one likes to be labeled the loser. You know, so I kind of had that MO about myself. So this off season, you know, it was a different approach. You know, maybe I need to change, you know, the way I think, the way I prepare, and having a great defense and with Luke Kuechly on the other side didn't hurt either.
Well, how were you able to do that? Because a lot of people talk about changing their mode of thinking, but you sort of are who you are mentally sometimes. Tell us how somebody changes their thinking for the better.
Now, when I say change, I don't mean a whole, like, mix-up of changing what I've been doing. Nothing really changed as my approach to the game. I mean, let's put a microscope to my game and fine-tune the things that I want to make better. You know, it was nothing that I really said, oh, I'm going to change this about myself, I'm going to change that. It was more, let me get more detail in my line of work.
I got a crazy thought here.
Okay.
Listening to you two talk. I look back on you being the first pick in the draft as a raw rookie, making a splash in this league the way no young man has ever made a splash. You remember at Arizona and Green Bay at home. And to me, you set your own bar unfairly high, absurdly high in those two games. And then you started having a harder and harder time living up to it because it was unrealistic what you did in those first two games. Give us some perspective as you look back at those first two. How do you feel about them now?
When I look back at it, you know, only person I feel can put up 400 yards at ease is Peyton. I mean, when I did it, you don't really keep track of how many yards you throw in a given game. You know, you don't even have time, you know, as a quarterback. You don't have time when you come to the sideline and look up and gauge your numbers. So for me, you know, when I go to the sideline, I look for in-game adjustments, you know, trying to find out what the defense is doing. So when that happened the first two games, I was like, okay, well, the NFL may not be as hard as all I got to do.
Right.
You know, only thing I got to worry about now is exactly.
Yeah.
The only thing I got to worry about now is just getting the wins. Yeah. But as I learned and grew in this league, preparation is something that is often overlooked but admired as well, because no one sees the work in progress. They only see the finished product. You know, right now, who knows what Russell Wilson's doing? Who knows what Peyton's doing to have an edge in this game? And you know, as I was growing in this league, I had to keep elevating my level of preparation.
In the NFL, you listen and talking to the cats that I talk to in the league, it's one thing to want to win, and it's another thing to want to get at somebody because you think the hype and the shine that they're receiving is a bit too much. Did you get the sense while you were on the field, after those first two games, it's not just that they were trying to beat the Carolina Panthers, but cats were trying to humble you? Did you get that sense at all while you were on the field?
It's an old cliche, and it's even in the Bible. Well, much is given, much is required. and I live by that each and every day. Not only on the field, but off the field as well. As an athlete, it's some things that you're held to be, whether some of it's fair, some of it's not. It's some things that you can do and some things you can't do, as public figures. So it's always oftentimes why even to this day I sit back and I'm like, man, why do people critique? Why does Stephen A. and why does doggone Skip get on me so much, man?
Why
Like,
y'all do that?
they,
Why y'all do that?
you know what I'm saying?
It's so not right.
Why? but really though, I know it's all in the game. I understand. I respect that. At the end of the day, this is who we are.
Right.
When I signed my name on the Carolina Panthers contract, it was some footnotes that may not have said it then, but I'm seeing it now. Like, you're held to a standard.
Right.
God put everyone on the pinnacle to lead by example.